Thank you everybody for joining us this evening. We are going to take care of a very important subject today. The subject is insulation, as I'm sure my screen is visible to everybody. So the topic of today's lecture will be comprehensive guidelines of thermal and acoustic insulation as we use it in HVAC and building envelope. The speaker today is Ms. Amisha Madan. She is GM Sales and Marketing of Inner Engineering. She is Zonal Chair West of Women in ISHRE and Secretary of ISHRE Pune chapter. Ms. Amisha is a graduate electronics engineer with an MBA in operations from Symbiosis College of Management, Pune. She is having a total of 19 years of work experience in various fields of insulation, HVAC projects, ventilation in HVAC, and embedded system. Her key expertise is in the field of research, marketing, sales, and business development. We have a very knowledgeable and rich speaker today available with us, and I would request all the participants to take maximum advantage of her presence over here. Again, as put across by our president, Mr. Shomajit, I would again also tell everybody to kindly keep yourselves on mute. Please use the chat box generously for all the questions. She has told me, our speaker Amisha ma'am has told me specifically that she's going to answer all the audience questions today, so everybody's queries are going to get answered, no problem with that. And at the end of the session, if you want to speak with the speaker specifically for some doubts, we might allow if the time permits. Otherwise, we can share her email ID. You can, of course, put across your queries over there. But I would request everybody, please do not interrupt her presentation, as it is a very tough subject and it requires concentration of the speaker also. With these few words, I would welcome our speaker for the evening, Ms. Amisha. And also to mention that we are very honored and obliged to have our President Emeritus, Mr. Manoj Chakraborty, today evening. And Sir has also joined us for this session. Sir, we would like to hear few words from you. Maybe there is some issue with Sir's audio. He has joined the program today, maybe having some technical issue. Without any further ado, let us get on with our technical session. We would have Manoj sir at the end again, once again, to address all of us. Amisha ma'am, I would request you to please continue with today's session.
Thank you so much, Nilanjana. And a very warm, I feel really warm to be hosting, I'll be very, very happy to do a technical talk for ISHRE Kolkata chapter. It's my honor here. Thank you, Somyajit and Nilanjana. Thank you so much on that. Coming to the today's presentation, I will like everybody, we are going to discuss, as we all know, we have been speaking a lot of, just a moment. Slideshow is visible?
Yes, it's visible, ma'am.
I think so. Slideshow.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. It's visible.
Yeah.
Amisha ma'am, you are mute.
Coming to today's topic, as Nilanjana told, that we will have a comprehensive discussion about the insulation. And to help you out with all the question answers from my side, my junior Mithil Thakkar is there on the chat box also. And to help you out on the basics of the insulations questions. And at the end of the session, surely we can take all the important questions at the end. I think so. There is an issue on slide sharing. We actually, when in our daily HVAC work, we do a lot of, we deal with a lot of insulation. Lots have been spoken in tenders and all around. But some basic understanding of insulation is what today we are going to discuss. And the application side and a brief understanding of insulation characteristics and selection criteria. So we will have a complete overview of what goes in the insulation industry, irrespective of any generic, any brand. And so that's not the concern here. And concern is the main understanding of insulation fundamentals. So as we proceed, there is an issue on slideshow.
Any challenge, Amisha?
Yeah, I think so. Slideshows, just a moment, yeah. I'll rightly do the slideshow. Now it's visible?
Yes.
Yeah. Starting on the brief of insulations. When we talk of insulations, what we know is insulations is always, why do we use insulations, first of all? And generally to constrain, in fact, to talk about, we have to reduce the heat losses between the two ambient, between temperatures of two different areas. So in order to reduce the heat loss, energy conservation, personal protections, freeze control, noise control, and fire safety. That's how we use the insulations. But while understanding what insulations mean, there are parameters and characteristics to be noted down before we go ahead with even understanding of how it is applied and what kind of selection criteria are there. When we talk of thermal insulations, then there are three important parameters that comes into the role play. That is thermal conductivity, condensation, and water vapor permeability. So to understand each of them in a brief manner is very important. What is thermal conductivity? You will get to hear about everybody talking about K value. So we all know the basic definition of thermal conductivity, because this is very very commonly used phenomena in our HVAC. So the insulation front, why the thermal conductivity is important. So in terms of thermal conductivity, what has to be noted is that since insulation is used to reduce the heat losses cannot be zeroed in any form. So the task of insulation is always to reduce the heat losses. The lesser the thermal conductivity, higher the reductions. That's the main fundamental of K value here. And when we talk of thermal conductivity, the mean temperatures come into the role play. Every product in the insulation field will have certain amount of K value, which is actually you will get to see in the tenders and everywhere. But understanding what is important here when we talk of mean temperatures. Talking about our topographical climate in India, the mean temperatures vary from place to place. If the mean temperatures, the value specified in our catalogs and so specified at a mean temperature of 0 degree, and the mean temperature of India climatic zone is not like that. So the mean, while you see the K value, you need to understand what exactly you have to look forward to. The K value is directly connected to the mean temperature of the places. And India, the climate of, for example, Kolkata, and is completely different from that of Rajasthan. So one is a dry place and another is a humid place. So in those terms, when you calculate mean temperature at different places, it becomes very, very important to know the K value uh, at which mean temperature it is being calculated. For example, I'll say that West Bengal, the mean temperature of Kolkata is 32.5 and considered on the safer side is 35. So what we are looking forward in a product is when we talk of thermal conductivity of product is calculated at an average mean temperature of 35 degrees. But that is the important criteria where you have to decide how to move forward and how to read the test reports here. So while we understand K value, we have to always keep in mind the mean temperature criteria here. And it is suggested actually to do a calculation on those bases. The second very important parameters is R value for the insulation slab. What is the R value here? The thermal resistance is known as the R value. How do we calculate the R value? Is the thickness upon the thermal conductivity. And as per the IS standards, and if you have to convert in the BTU standards, then you can multiply it by 5.678. So this gives the R value, that is the thermal resistance of the material. Understanding now R value of a system. If you have to calculate a R value of a system, that means you are, for example, if you take the example of underdeck, there is a slab and below which there is a insulation material kept. So we need to calculate the R value of the whole system. So that becomes R value is delta T again will be upon thermal conductivity. And so R total considered here is of individual wall insulation and in HI and HO, that is inside and outside convection constant coefficient. That has to be considered while calculating the R total here, the thermal resistance of the complete system. When you understand the insulation slab, then approximately what we know is that you have to consider the thickness upon the conductivity, which you will be evaluating as R. For example, here the particular thicknesses have been considered, and on basis of that, what we achieve is that 7.87. So we can say this as R7. The R value of the insulation slab is R7 here. When you take two combination material there are many applications where you will be using two generic materials here. Then you have to consider the thicknesses and K values of both the generic material. So the R total will be R1 plus R2, and accordingly the combination material will give the additive value of two different R's here. So when you consider combination material, we have to evaluate the average R total of both the material for consideration. Now, how do we correlate R value and U value? As per the NBC guidelines and ECBC guidelines, you will be hearing a lot of U values in the latter part of my presentation. So we need to understand that is the overall heat transfer coefficient. How do we find that? That is a reciprocal of the R total. So till now we understood what is K value, we understood R, and we understood U value. These three important parameters play a very, very important role in all our discussion of thermal and thermal insulations specifically. When you calculate R value of a pipe, till now when you were talking about R value, we were considering a flat surface. But now for the R value of a pipe, since it's a circular surface, it is the calculation is little different here. You can see that that's a logarithmic ratio of inside and outside radius of the pipes, and where you have there is a set formula for the calculations. When you when you take into the consideration the R value of the pipe, here the thicknesses have to be evaluated. When there are certain parameters to be considered while evaluating the system, designing the thicknesses of the insulation material used for the piping. That will depend upon the delta T, that will depend on the ambient temperature, that will depend on the MOC of the material, service temperature of the pipelines, and various other parameters for the thickness calculation. While we understand, and the fluid medium, what kind of fluid medium you are using, that is also a very critical thing here. For example, if there is a hot water pipe, whether that's a chill water pipe, there is a brine, glycol, steam line, low pressure line. So that on basis of those parameters, the thickness has been evaluated, and accordingly the R values we can see that can be defined on R values of pipe insulations. Now, what is condensation? What we see, first thing we understood the thermal conductivity point, R value, and the next important point is what is condensation. That is what we know as condensation. What we do is that when you see the droplets of water on the glass of the car while in the rainy season, if you're driving, you see a droplet. That happens because of the temperature difference between inside and outside temperature difference. And what we understand, there is a sweating on the glass of if you take a cold water in a glass, you will see the droplets of water outside it. So that is what is called condensation. When we have a pipeline, just imagine a surface pipeline with chill water lines, if you say so. It is having no insulation on it, and it is exposed to the ambient. So what will happen is that initial ambient temperature, which wants to achieve the dew point, and the final line temperature will increase, and so there will be a sweating on the pipe. To avoid that, reduction of we always have to remember that reduction of ambient temperature will cause the relative humidity to increase even with the same amount of moisture. So to avoid that, we need insulation. And what is the parameter of the insulation is the water permeability parameter here, water vapor diffusion coefficient, which has to be calculated. The lower the value, better is the insulation material when we say that. And the higher value of mu factor, that is mu factor, which is calculated by water vapor permeability of air upon the material. So ideally, the higher the value of mu, the better water vapor permeability insulation material has. So in order to use insulation in a place where you want to use, where there is a lot of condensation, we go for material which will be having a very good water vapor permeability mu factor here. For example, you will see in the tenders like mu factor is mentioned 7,000, 10,000, more than 10,000. Somewhere you will see 20,000, 60,000 mu factor. So that is a way it's defined. The higher the value, better water vapor permeability it has. That was the some of the parameters to be considered in the thermal insulation. But when we come to acoustic insulation, we see that acoustics is an area where there is a lot of research happening nowadays. The material used, what kind of material used, and on what basis, what are the characteristics to be considered in the material used. So we understand there are two important parameters of acoustic insulation which has to be considered here. That is NRC and STC. NRC is noise reduction coefficient and STC is sound transmission class. So basically we need to understand what NRC and STC is and what is its significance in the field of acoustics. First, let's understand the sound first. When you talk of sound, there are two types of sound, that is speech and audio. Speech, we all know, the audio gets into noise and the music part. Which noise which is not desirable, music whenever we consider music, we want to reduce the echo, and the quality of sound has to be desirable here. The common audio frequency ranges, what we know of is 20 to 20 kilohertz to the human body, and human hearing range is from 35 hertz to 60 kilohertz. We can plan our acoustics from 50 hertz to 12 kilohertz here. The speech frequency where things will be audible to us is between 125 hertz and to approximately 4 kilohertz. So when we design a home theater or something like that, the subwoofer frequency what we deal in is 10 hertz to 100 hertz. When you talk of sound, there are two types of sound we generally discuss. One is airborne and one is structural. The best example to explain this part is that if you are in a room and in the adjacent room, there is a boy skating on that floor. The noise you get to hear is the structure-borne noise. And when a person is talking in the next room, whatever audio you hear, voice you hear is airborne. So this is a basic difference between the structural and airborne sound here. The other important fundamentals to be understood, when people are talking acoustics, they will talk of real-time analysis, reverberation time. And reverberation time is basically a very commonly used phenomena. But what is reverberation time here? Reverberation time of a room or a space is defined as time it takes for sound to decay by 60 dB here. When we talk of RT, then we talk of how much time it takes to decay. And that has been analyzed by the terms reverberation transmission here. Reverberation time, sorry. What is more important to understand here is that when people talk in terms of dBs, people confuse. When you are on a site, you will discuss कि मेरे को तो 10 dB reduction चाहिए, मेरे को 20 चाहिए, 30 चाहिए, 30 dB reductions. But how to perceive this? That perseverance is very important here. See, when there is 1 dB deduction, nobody can notice that. When there is 2 dB deduction, it's hardly noticeable. When there is 3 dB deduction, sometimes the sound perceived is half. So it doesn't behave linearly here. It basically behaves very logarithmic here. We need to understand that parameters of acoustics very well. It is not linearly related here. When we talk of NRC and STC, the frequencies play a very major role. When you go through all the test certificates submitted to you, we will get to see a lot of people talking about NRCs and STC's values mentioned here. But what is this all about? When you talk of NRC, then that is you talk of excessive sound that is absorbed, giving back the desire. That is echo. You deal with the echo and reverberations here, NRC. And you heard that the coefficient of noise reduction is value measured from between 0 to 1. And that is evaluated on the average value of sound absorption coefficient at 4 different frequencies now. So when you have to deal with sound absorptions criteria, you have to consider NRC. When you are talking about sound isolation, then you take into consideration STC values. For example, what we nowadays, what goes wrong in understanding the parameters of NRC is that every generic material difference behaves differently at different frequencies here. For example, what you see that in front of you, there are four different type of material here. And at different frequencies, their NRCs are different. But it doesn't go on the average consideration of NRC. If your application demands, you are going to deal with the sound waves that will be at frequency ranges from 500. Then for you, the ideal material for that application can be Whitewood. And for example, if your application demands a low frequency range where you want to, you are dealing with the frequency range where there is 125 or so, then you have to consider the material which having best NRC value at that frequency. So never read any certificates or so depending on the average NRC. It also depends upon the kind of applications you are dealing with, kind of frequency ranges you are dealing with. So while evaluating the NRC, judge rightly the right kind of material you are using. When you talk of sound isolation here, we want to kill the sound. We want to block. So here comes the role of STC. The sound transmission class is again measured at a 16 different frequency, and that's how we come to evaluate the value of STCs. Same here. Now, same thing I like to bring to everybody's notice here is that when you use different generic material, it is those kind of the studies and research is done on when you compare using a single material for your acoustics and two different material of or three different material of for STC evaluation. It is seen that when you use two different kind of combination material, you get better performance. Because one combination material, for example, if you have an application of a home theater, when you use STC, for example, if you have to use the application of partition wall, and you are designing a banquet hall where you want to take care that the upper, there is a disco or there is a bar above, where the sound has to be completely isolated. And you are dealing with 2-3 kind of frequencies here. Then we need those kind of combination of generic. One generic can be good at one particular frequency, but it has its own threshold where it will stop performing. So when we use a combination material, for example, if I take a combination 3, vinyl barrier plus extruded polystyrene. So this you will see, and if you have to say take it as 500 frequency here, then you see that that will give you the combined STC of 29, which couldn't have been possible when you would have used a single generic material. So in order to have a better performance, it's always better to use two different kind of generic material so that you get the best STC out of it. This is a graph versus sound insulation index, airborne sound insulation index versus frequency, what we had discussed previously here. So when you see any test reports, what has to be noted? NRC. See, they have specified the NRC is 0.75. But if your frequency ranges the application in which you are trying to use this material, the frequency ranges is of 500, the NRC is only 0.61. Here lies the gap here. So try and understand the test reports better in terms of reading it and comprehending it. When you talk of STC, see, again, the STC found was 24, but the kind of frequency ranges you are dealing it, sometimes if you're dealing with 630 frequency band, so you will only get the 21 STC over there. and if you are using a 4000 frequency, so this product is performing better at higher frequency range. So you need to evaluate that parameters into account. So here comes the certain basic fundamentals of acoustic and thermal insulation, which you should keep in mind, and which you will need on the further understanding of selection criteria and application. The very important discussion nowadays is of fire and safety insulation in HVAC and building. Every person is talking about fire and fireproof material you need, fire insulation you need. The whole idea of why do you need it, fire and safety insulation, we'll be shortly briefly discussing that. But when you talk of fire and safety insulation, you have to consider three important parameters of that. That is flame spread index, smoke develop index, and life safety code. This kind of episodes you see, the Sharjah episode, there were 7 casualties. London. Previously, we used to not give a lot of importance to the fire element in our HVAC designs or insulation specific designs. But continuously, we have been having episodes like, for example, here, Raghuveer Cilium Textile Market, it got burnt. And you could see 12 hours it took to even extinguish the fire. So many, 128 water tanks. All these episodes keep reminding us that we, when we have to design our buildings, we give a little importance to the fire element of it. That is very important nowadays. And it has been taken care by NBC and ECBC very carefully nowadays. So you will see a lot of NBC protocols you have for your building sanctions here. So safety is the most important aspects, and NBC and NFPA has come up together to form the life safety codes of using what kind of material you need to use, and there are building norms now for that. In 2005, India had formulated and studying the global standards. It had evaluated the life safety codes. So we nowadays all the materials and all the buildings are following this NBC and NFPA life safety codes on that, which have been actually derived from all the best standards, standard practices and fire standard practices followed all over the globe here. When you talk of flame spread index, what is a flame spread index? So you will see that it's a ranking derived from the standard test methodology. So when what we need to know that our fibrous material, we talk in terms of ASTM standards, the class A, B, C. What you see here is that flame index should be between 0 to 25 or so on. When you talk of SDI, that is smoke develop index, it is, we see that when we take a cement board, it will have a value 0. When you take a wood, it will, red oak has a value of 100. So these two important parameters have to be considered and measured, and you will see in the tender whether the material is class A, B, C. And when you talk of BS 476, Part C and Part 7 talks about the fire propagation test and surface spread of flame test. On basis of that, the criteria, you will you get to see this terminology a lot in your tenders, class 1, class 2, class 3, and class 4. So class 1 is the best rating possible, and the class O, a product must achieve class 1 in Part 7 and also pass the Part 6 test, that is a fire propagation test. On these two important parameters, we define a material with whether that's a class O, class 1, class 2. That's what the whole understanding in the tender goes while selecting a material here. So further on the behavior of the fire, it is classified into three important categories of the insulation material we use. That is non-combustible, fire retardant, and combustible. Again, when you talk of building envelope side, underdeck, wall insulation, we do take a fire element into consideration. But for every application type, your definition of using which kind of combustible or non-combustible material will vary here. For example, if you are using a material for underground pipe insulations, right, where actually the whole interest is from the condensation point of view and not the fire. So you select material which is best suited from the mu, that is water vapor permeability factor. We consider that factor and we select the material, be it anything, nitrile generic or XLP generic, whichever generic you want to go. But these are the selection criteria. So fire element is important. It becomes very important in the building envelope point of view more here. So when you see any fire certifications and fire ratings shown, generally you will see 120 minutes of fire rating, they say. So our insulation material will be standing this 120 minutes of fire before it actually in the propagations of the fire resistance certain element. So fire resistance of the fire rating is clearly specified in our certificates. When you see that smoke, fire rating of 2 are shown in the TC, no smoke or on unexposed face. So there are products, all these parameters in the test reports are very important to be considered. So depending on flame spread, FSAI and SDI, the whole evaluation criteria of NFPA 19A, 19B and life safety codes have released few certifications and different phenomena here. So what we are till now, we went through all the fundamentals of very important parameters what we keep discussing in our insulations on the daily basis here. That is K value, R value, SDI, FSI, and NRC, STC. All that forms the basis of every insulation discussion you will go through. Coming to the understanding of how many generic materials are present, and generally you will see inorganic insulation and organic insulations. Inorganic insulation material consists of the mineral component, and organic, yes, what we see, nitrile, XLP, extruded polystyrene, they all are organic insulations. The basic generic classifications of generic you can see on that: expanded perlite, ceramic fibers, that falls into the inorganic, and organic elastomeric foam, melamine, polyethylene, polystyrene, so on. So these are some of the insulation generic I have mentioned, but there are ample, the more research has, with the more evaluating research nowadays, you will have many more generic available in the market for you. Coming to the very important criteria of the selection criteria, how to decide what to select now. Understand there are, on basis of various whatever we discuss now, and it falls in the category of thermal, caustic and fire. For example, when you talk about the application where surface burning characteristics, that's a part of, you have to use a material where it's a fire insulation material you have to use. When you talk of NRC, then that completely talks of the caustic, what we learned previously on that. Insulation specification in the tender documents. Here comes the very important element. Day in and day out, all the HVAC people, we deal with a lot of tender documents here. So these kind of material, generally generic material, you will be coming across in all the tenders, like closed cell, NBR, cross-linked polyethylene, extruded polystyrene, expanded polystyrene, polyurethane foam, and so on. Now, when you get a tender specs, what is important to read? How to read a tender, interpreting and reading a tender rightly is very important here. So when you see a tender, first thing we note is, yes, the K value, fire rating. This is a water permeability, water vapor permeability, what we had discussed previously. What kind of approval agency is involved here. Sometimes this is a indicator of, for example, here they have mentioned the mu value of 60,000, and it is a you have to cross check with the type of the material specified here on that in the catalogs. Is the mu value matching exactly or not? So these are some important parameters of interpreting and reading a tender. For example, if you are using a resin bonded slab, right? So here you will see that density mentioned is 140, the thermal conductivity, NRC, because since it is for the acoustic purpose, they have mentioned the NRC here, coefficient here. Then another important parameters nowadays in tender, you will see this NFPA criteria, ASTM E84, and that parameters we have, while reading, you will see there are so many important points we have to keep in mind when we read a tender here. Some comparison of, sometimes what happens, we don't go through the entire technical specification, we have a BOQ and we rightly quote, but there can be a big mismatch. For example, here they have mentioned a material type of X is class O LUE. That's a tough aluminum cladding. You can end up quoting, if you have not read the tender well, then you can you'll be selecting a normal aluminum grade material. And here the requirement was of tough aluminum foil having 60 micron thickness. So certain parameters have to be have to be considered when you are reading a tender and BOQ. So understand it well, what is used where from the tender specification. So the habit of comparing both BOQ and tender specification is the best thing. Design consultants have put in a lot of efforts on designing the tender specification. It is advisable, especially from the costing point of view, so that you don't go wrong on your cost analysis. There are certain goof ups happening. We'll see, for example, here contradictory technical mention in the BOQ. Chemically cross-linked elastomeric nitrile rubber. They have mentioned two generic in the same statement here. They have mentioned cross-linked polyethylene and elastomeric nitrile rubber. How can both be together on that? So certain important small pointers to help you out to how to read a tender and quote it accordingly. Now, understanding the NBC and ECBC norms when you are understanding insulations, there is lots of discussion happening on ASHRAE, ASHRAE, and all the platforms about ECBC and NBC. So insulation field is also concentrates a lot on what ECBC parameters we are going to formulate here. Understanding a basic of that ECBC building classification, if you see that hospitality, education, healthcare, where ECBC criteria are applicable here. So there are business units, the large offices, more than 30,000 square meter area. So there you have to have the classification. Building classifications depends upon, and that has been widely discussed in the ECBC here. When you talk of the roof here, when roof shall comply with maximum, they have mentioned assembly U factor. When you talk of the maximum assembly, there is slab and every element of the roof, the U value of the assembly it is given, including slab plus insulation and so on. And they have mentioned certain U factor which we have to match our insulation criteria, insulation material which is we are using, we are evaluating thicknesses should match this U factor. they are categorically divided into different climatic zones, as you see that: composite, hot and dry, warm and humid, temperate, cold. And it varies from the all building types, except schools and hospitalities, they have a different kind of understanding of U factor here. For example, if you take 24 hours used building, hospitals, in NBC, in ECBC, they have mentioned that we have to consider the U value of the assembly. But when it comes to the NBC compliances, for that compliances, we also have to consider U value and the R value here for the building envelope as such. So for example, for warm and humid climate, the U value of is 0.261 and R value is 3.50 for compliances here. So these two parameters are very important. Example of a thermal insulation product, if we use resin bonded slab, according to the NBC compliances, where we have to consider U value 0.261 and 3.5, the thermal resistance are evaluated, that is given. R value is given already 3.5. On basis of the R value, we calculate the thickness, desired thickness for NBC compliances. This is how it is achieved on that. Here, for example, the opaque external wall, if you have to, what the wall insulation factor also, again, the assembly U factor we have to consider, and it will vary with the building. For example, if you, for a business office, for a temperate climatic zone, you have to consider the U value of 0.63 and accordingly evaluate the thicknesses. Same when it comes to, that was with the ECBC, and the same with NBC compliances, you have to consider both U value and the R value together. And the same phenomena of for the wall insulation also, to evaluate the thicknesses. For example, we have taken an example, thermal resistance is considered 2.10. We have the R value. Now we calculate that we know the K value of the particular product material here, and accordingly the thicknesses are evaluated, desired thicknesses are evaluated. Now considering the pipe insulations for the lesser dia lesser than 25 and greater than 40. Here what is important is you just consider the R value here. The R value for the heating system, cooling system, for chill water, hot lines, refrigerant piping lines, the R value mentioned which has to be achieved, and accordingly the thicknesses are calculated. There is one example of the calculation we have taken for the ECBC compliances. For example, if you, for heating pipes, if you have used white wool blanket, you can see that here. Minimum, the product R value is this 0.9, right? The required as per NBC UC, it is the K value we know of the product, 0.9 is the R value desired. And according to that, the heating piping thicknesses have to be evaluated here. Same way for cooling, refrigeration piping, if you have taken the example here down the nitrile rubber, you can see similarly, you know the R value and K value, you evaluate the thicknesses here. So this is the evaluation compliance part of NBC and ECBC, which we have to keep in mind while evaluating all the thermal parameters rightly. Ductwork and plenum insulations, again, the R value is of greater importance here. So R 0.6 and supply duct R 1.4 for the exterior buried or unconditioned space. So different type, if that's air conditioned or it's not, the R values are different, and accordingly the material K value is found out, and thickness is what kind of duct thermal thickness you need, that can be evaluated for the compliances. The similar exercise has been done here to understand. These practices actually are slowly getting into our systems of, it has become necessary for us for ECBC and NBC compliances. Yeah, now this was still thermal. We were talking about what are the compliances says. Thermal thermal insulation is understandable because there is a parameter of R value and U value given, on basis of which we evaluated our internal parameters and thicknesses. But how to measure the acoustic purpose here? That is a critical thing to be understood here. So NBC has made it very simple to have some kind of measurement parameters. For example, if your building is near the traffic lights and the minimum dB, desirable dB level of your building on the edge of the building is 65. So if you have a heavy traffic areas of 5,000 vehicle per 18 hours or 10,000 vehicle 18 hours, the compliance says that the desirable dB at the edge of the building, right on the inside, is 75 dB is desirable. So we have some comparative parameters to design our buildings accordingly. So according to acceptable indoor noise level, there are values and noise level dB levels given for all the designing of our auditorium, cinemas, music room, conference hall, and AHU room. If it's a hospital, then what kind of dB level, desired dB level for compliances are needed that have been covered in NBC. Most part of acoustic has been covered by NBC, to note it that way. And to understand the sound reduction index, when you talk about a flat between the living and the bedroom, what are the desirable sound reduction index that has been specified, which has to be matched in order to adhere to the compliances here. So important is that insulation values referred to are applicable with door and windows shut here. So when the communicating doors are provided, all doors should be so designed to provide recommended insulation between the rooms. Certain, this is not applicable as per, this is on the architectural side. It is not on the HVAC side, but just for the information, the octave band, according there are dB level mentioned according to the designing of octave level band in the cinema screens and so on. For the fire compliances, yes, NBC has come with the strict norms of interior finishing material should be of the low flame spread type, especially on the lift banks enclosure, should be of minimum 120 minutes fire rating. Lift landing doors, entrance doors, all to have a certain fire rating as mentioned in the NBC. So the building envelope type, where you see that the spread of fire insulation is possible, that's where the design element comes. We have to use non-combustible material there. So as we discussed previously also, fire and life safety codes says that every wall opening shall be protected with fire. These norms are more applicable on the building envelope sites. Till now, we have seen again the selection criteria, how to understand it, basics, acoustics and thermal portion, NBC, tenders. Now we come to the area of application pertaining to HVAC. When you talk of HVAC, there are so many kind of applications ducting within the building, where you will be needing thermal. Ducting exposed to the atmosphere, again you will be needing the thermal part. AHU room, you will need the acoustic part of it. Shaft insulation, for example, you will need both thermal and acoustic part. Kitchen exhaust duct, you will again need the fire element comes into the place. All this are the different application areas where we see the insulation material is required, and the selection of the generic depends upon, varies from application to application. For example, if you're considering a hospital, clean room, pharma. For hospital ducting, you will be considering, there are various generic available. You can consider XLPE, nitrile, PIR, ready ducts. And for piping, if there is a piping inside the hospital, then nitrile, XLPE, and pre-insulated pipes are also nowadays available. For the AHU, you use open cell and XLP type of material. When it comes to in hospitals, especially, you have to take care of the critical areas. The important factor nowadays, you will see a lot, there are materials, antimicrobial materials available. What is important is IAQ plays a very important role in the hospitals and pharma building. So we need to take care, clean room application, for example, then we need to take care to avoid fibrous material usage there. And actually nowadays there are so many antimicrobial products there in the market which you can use it. If you are doing an underdeck of hospital or something, you can go for extruded polystyrene, PU foam, Phenotherm, PIR. These kind of generics are also available, which you can use for your underdeck applications. When you consider, for example, in hospitals, when you consider the CT scan area, important labor room, where you have to keep in mind, see, there are adjacent walls where there are condensation issues, where there are areas, there are medical equipments kept, then their importance have to be given, a lot of importance have to be given to the thermal apps, using the right generic material here, which could take care of the condensation as well as the thermal part of it. So this way, when you talk of the boilers areas and different areas, we come to commonly use design parameters inside the within the building type. For example, when you are considering designing a duct thermal insulation, then temperature drop from the AHU first P to the last piece of the duct has to be calculated. Delta T will make a lot of difference here, and correct insulation thickness calculation can be derived accordingly. Estimation of the transient losses application, we need to understand the application process, a good adhesion, product selection, that will depend. Humidity as per the climatic zone has to be considered here. The ambient temperature where ducting is routed from, whether it's an external or an internal. Inside the building, outside the building, you have to take that into account while designing, and right cladding material has to be selected accordingly. Important of fire element as per the segment. Suppose that area is of key area where you have to consider the fire element, then you have to choose the generic which is non-combustible type on that. Duct thermal insulation within the building, as I told, some of the few pictures over here, what we see in the duct internal thermal insulation. See, here in the picture 1, you see the nitrile generic use. You can use XLP any. The prime importance have been given to the mu factor here, water vapor permeability and K value here. And the fire rating as class O as per the European standards they have mentioned here. Here, the duct was designed with the help of resin bonded duct material, because here the fire element played a very important role. So RB slabs and glass wool, these kind of generic materials are commonly used here. You see that, yeah, this is a cross-linked polyethylene example where they have a good water permeability more than 60,000 mentioned here. So when it is exposed to the duct, the design parameters to be considered is the temperature drop from same understanding. Here the main important is the kind of cladding material we should use nowadays according to the weather, to prevent corrosion, UV protections, joint sealing, all these parameters have to be taken care. And water ingress, whether that's a horizontal or vertical duct, depending on the need to take in the critical areas. For example, if your duct is passing through those areas where there are T bends and so on, horizontal and vertically side, then we need to consider the joints also on that. Importance of fire, again, that ambient temperature will play a very important role. Duct thermal exposed, yes. For example, here there are two important examples of nitrile resin bonded, or any that can be anything like XLP and so on. When you have to decide duct acoustic insulation, we have to take into the consideration FPM velocity, the size of the duct, NRC, as we understood previously, the NRC of the product, and the frequency wise absorption. Important is frequency wise absorption you are talking about, and tentative thickness to be evaluated accordingly. What is more, all acoustic 100% time when you consider acoustic, then you use an open cell and material having more density with a high K value on that. You will generally see a 140 density or more than that used for that, much more than certain material which are used for the STC point of view. The sound isolation can have a huge, very, very high density that helps in the acoustic property. See, open cell nitrile rubber being used, and if you use a resin bonded wool, that's a fibrous material, that should also you have to consider the right accessories to be covered with. We need a perforated sheet so that it doesn't basically the quality of air is passing through is not contaminated. When you design a AHU room acoustic insulation, then you have to consider dB reduction, frequency wise isolation, what you need, what we have been talking throughout the presentation right now in acoustics. There are certain areas, while if your AHU room in a hospital, in a place, in a mall, for example, in a mall, if it is just adjacent to a shop here in the mall, then we have to rightly consider we may have to use combination generic material here, and we need to understand distance between the wall and the AHU, between the roof and the AHU has to be given a very prime importance in the designing. What is the size of AHU room? That also makes a lot of difference here. And understanding the location of AHU and its surrounding. For example, in a hospital, if you're on the second floor, there is a service floor. On the first, you have OT, or in the third floor, you have all the VIP rooms. Then you need to take care on that so that you do the right acoustics. Then you may have to do complete floor, ceiling, and walls, all part of AHU room. So the two basic example, there can be many more combination of generic you can use for the AHU room acoustics, and the thermal, which can act as a thermal barrier. So here in the first case, as you see that resin bonded board with BJT finish we had used here. And then in the second, an open cell nitrile rubber was used because it inherits antimicrobial property. So there are various parameters on the designing consideration of acoustics of AHUs too. We need to closely monitor while designing. When you come to the chill water piping within the building, yes, diameter and the length plays a very important role here. Design maximum tolerance to be made in the delta T, that has to be considered here. Design to be done on the diameter wise, thickness is all, there are thickness calculations available here, which we have to, as we had discussed previously, there are important ambient service temperatures, line temperature, and various other parameters which plays a very MOC of the material and the fluid passing through. For chill water lines, for the chill water lines, it's a fluid is water medium, then you have to consider and design accordingly. The flow speed, design, temperature, all that has to be considered here. Special care should be taken in the selecting the supports of the pipe to avoid condensation here. So you see, nowadays there are ample options available. If you are designing a chill water pipeline within the building, then there are GC claddings available with different colors and different generic, different brand. You can use anything. Here, for example, the other, this is having a puff insulation with foil cladding they have used here. So this is for the cryogenic applications, very low temperature. When you are designing something for chill water piping for the exposed to the atmosphere, then the same parameters have to be considered. That delta T increases here. That parameter plays a very important role. And another important factor is the water ingress. The wind speed, if it is for example, if it is a coastal area and you're designing, for example, for a Reliance plant or a Adani plant, then those kind of important aspects have to be considered here. So bends and T's plays an important role in the temperature drops. These are the pictures of some of the example of water, chill water piping on the exposed with the material for the mechanical strength and UV protection is very important when you do the outdoor chill water piping selection. When you come to the design parameters of underdeck insulations, then when you consider underdeck, the R value plays a very important role, thermal resistance. We have to understand the fire requirement, whether there is a fire requirement, it's a warehouse, it's a factory, it's a pharma, whichever be it, depending upon the criteria and the segments, the underdeck insulation can be selected accordingly. Some rigid material, whether they come in groove or shiplap, should be specified in the tenders. Distance between the RCC slab and the false ceiling also plays a major role on that. For PEB, if same R value is specified, then the system will fare. And PEB, we have to consider the system R value here, complete. Heat ingress and the surface temperature of the metal is much more, that is more than 7 to 12 degrees centigrade than the RCC. That is the important criteria when you are designing a PEB structure. We have to take that into consideration. Some of the examples of this RCC slab, if it's a RCC lab, you can go with extruded polystyrene, you can go with PIR, and there are available both side FSK coverings are available, and especially that can be used in clean room applications too. These are for PEB structures, building rolls, bubble insulations. They have been quite frequently used for exhibition halls and warehouses and so on, where you have such kind of PEB structures. Then material can be selected accordingly. Certain materials are both has a thermal and acoustic property. So it can give you a dual advantage on that. So we need to understand whether we need a thermoacoustic, thermal, acoustic, what kind of underdeck material and for what purpose we are using. Application makes a very crucial thing on that. Now, very significant design parameters which goes which is not given so much of importance is a shaft insulations. When you design in the complex scenario where acoustics is needed, for example, in the hotels, there are shafts passing through the rooms, in between the rooms, and there can be a lot of disturbances. So what has to be there can be plumbing lines passing through the shafts. So sometimes just not the insulation of the plumbing lines is important, but the walls of the shafts, if they are insulated, that will be really wonderful. That will add to the acoustic property. there, and sound isolation. These areas having high humidity, hence ventilation plays a very important role. If thermal is needed, then other pipes ducts to be understood well. The distance between the ducts and the pipes passing through is also of a crucial importance. So there are various parameters involved in the shaft insulation. Generally, the plumbing lines, you'll see something like this. And what I indicated was that there's walls are you have rooms, for example, in a hotel, if you have some kind of important rooms there, then of course with all the so much of disturbances, we need to consider that part and do right acoustics and thermal here, thermal insulation on the walls of that. So for the recommended material can be anything ranging from XPS, that is extruded polystyrene, isocyanurate boards, that is PIR, resin bonded slabs, and any these depending upon the applications. When we consider false ceiling insulations, then if there is a tray, insulate the tray from both bottom and the side or from the outside. To cover every single inch of the areas, there are material available now. Encapsulated bags are available with the insulation material. You can lay it on the false ceiling. There are ways to achieve false ceiling insulation, and desired performances of thermal can be achieved accordingly. Certain lightweight material is preferred, and lap joint should be maintained when you consider the designing of false ceiling insulation. Here, generally the bonded material is not recommended, as it reduces the flexibility. In non-approachable areas, tape can be used. See what I was mentioning, this false ceiling insulation. False ceiling insulation is done on the non-AC areas to maintain thermal comfort. So the first example states of the raising RV slab encapsulated in acoustical cloth, that is GC, glass cloths. Polyisocyanate board, the less space consuming, it looks good also, aesthetic also looks good on that. When you design a drain piping, generally we see that very less importance have been given to the insulation of drain piping. Whatever material available, anything is used nowadays. But we need to understand the most important is the vertical drain pipe have to be insulated well. The thickness generally varies from 9 mm. 9 mm is used in the plumbing insulation. Bonded material should not be recommended, as it reduces the flexibility of the whole structure on that. Look at the space. If it is a critical area, as appropriate space of minimum 255 mm is to be maintained between the pipes here. So while designing the drain pipe insulations, nitrile XLPE generic is most widely used here. So these are the examples of drain piping used. Now when it comes to hot water piping insulation, yes, temperature in the pipe is very important. Permissible transit losses have to be considered. Covering should be done if the root of the pipe is from the typical area like shafts, false ceiling, outside the building, etc. That particular element has to be taken. Which part of the building? Certain times the piping is going through closed and open, both kind of areas. So the right material type and the cladding both has to be considered on that. If it is a vertical building, floor-wise understanding has to be considered, keeping in mind the available space and the thickness of the insulation. If you see that LRB mattresses, light resin bonded mattresses, this is how you will see a picture. Very widely used material nowadays is ceramic wool, that is white wool blankets, which are used in the hot water piping insulation. And LRB has a temperature ranging up to 750 degrees centigrade, And ceramic wool has a temperature ranging up to 1400 degrees centigrade. So these kind of generic materials are available for the hot water piping applications. And ceramic wool blanket, what we say as white wool blanket, has a very good acoustic property also. So it's a thermoacoustic material used in a different application types here. When you very common phenomena in HVAC is designing VRF. We see that most of our buildings are VRV and refrigerant on based on the designing of the VRF technology here. When it comes to the insulation type, then the same parameters, but certainly the length of the piping end to end has to be taken care. Plastics and PVC tapes as covering should not be permitted on that when you take off the VRV. Exposed piping should be either covered with the GC bonded or additional layer of UV has to be done on that. These are the important things which you have to take care in VRV piping. So some of the examples you will see then all the VRV pipelines, pipings and insulation, nitrile and XLP, any kind of generic can be used here. Mu value also plays a major role as we discussed previously on that. When you design a trapdoor insulation, distance between the trapdoor and the unit from all sides, mainly roof and bottom. Not we generally what happens is that we just see that the distance we just see from the equipment, horizontal distance, but we need to consider here the distance from the roof, from the bottom, from the wall, sides, everywhere. All distances have to be taken into the consider. Material NRC and STC values have to be considered there. And we need to understand what kind of sound is generated, and depending upon that we need to design. And the most important parameter here to be considered in the trapdoor insulation is that sound doesn't travel at always at the 90 degree. Consider minimum 60 degree angle on the both the side for the sound source, because when we design, we consider the sound is going to travel 90 degrees. It is not so. Sound you need when you design, when you have to consider the different angular deflection of the sound also here. Segment is very important. Whether it's a hotel, hospital, or normal mall, you need to understand that well. And of course, what we have been discussing previously, the frequency of noise is to be understood before you design it. These are the trapdoor in insulation example using resin bonded wool slab and open cell nitrile rubber. And there are many other material. If you want to use combination material, now when you have to achieve certain NRC or here STC, then you have to know the combination you have to use here. When you design a low pressure steam line, then line temperatures should be taken into the consider. Ambient temperature certainly. Covering it with right aluminum cladding or stainless steel. Nowadays, there are ample option on the cladding part as far as stainless steel is concerned. We have to consider that while in designing the low pressure steam line. Proper gap between two pipelines should be maintained considering the insulation thicknesses. All the fittings of the pipe should be insulated to reduce this. Everything is designed well, and if the fittings are not insulated, then of course you give a space for heat loss then. So small parameters that plays a very important to reduce the heat loss that should be considered. These are some of the examples of the steam lines in temperature ranging from 115 to 180 degrees centigrade. When you talk of kitchen exhaust duct and DG set, yes, fire element comes into a very important role play here. Kitchen exhaust, fire retardant materials are advisable here in kitchen exhaust. Estimated temperature within the duct should be considered for the material selection. These exhausts have extremely high temperature. So the material should have good, of course, the temperature range where, for example, if you take rock wool, then up to 700, you can select any such material which which gives good insulation at higher temperature. Proper outer covering jacketing is necessary when you design both kitchen exhaust ducts and DG set exhaust insulations here. Main objective of kitchen duct insulation is to keep the personnel safe here. And it is extremely hot and can cause bodily harm. So the common material recommended here generally, there can be many more, but two of the common material which is used is again white wool and light resin bonded mattresses here. The example of DG sets, again, the similar important is that we need to, personal safety is of greater importance here. At a very high temperature may go up to 900 degree Celsius also. So the ceramic wool can be a very good choice here. When you design an AC plant room, insulation of AC's plant room is very important. We consider the fire rated material here. Having acoustic, when you say the NRC and STC of the material has to be considered. Objective is to be considered the sound so that people can work and isolate the noise going through. When you see AC plant room insulations, there are the different type of resin bonded slabs and white wool available. Segments, as I told, pharmaceutical industry, what are the various kind of you can use. If it's a warehouse under deck, you can use these kind of polyisocyanurate material, PIR, and metal, then it's a bubble, HVAC ducting, NBR or XLP, HVAC duct acoustic, open cell, RB slabs, chill water line, puff insulations can be used. In AHU room acoustic, as we discussed. So offices and corporate, these are some of the generics. You see that. Restaurants and hospitality segments, these are the certain solutions of material generic which can be used. So what we talked of, different aspects of different applications and the kind of material use, you went through that. There's a different part of the building envelope which we have covered accordingly. So certain various applications implementation, for example, this technical experience center, there the vinyl barrier material was used. Certain for the acoustic properties, these are the home theaters applications, classrooms applications. One very important point I want to bring to everybody's notice is the spandrel insulation. Here you see, when we spoke of fire, when you use, this is a small quantity of RB slab used in the spandrels, which can actually avoid the spread, stop the spread of whole fire between the floors. So when you want to know the importance of fire, it's in the data server rooms, in the building, in the partitions, all those area. If you consider this, these are the small solutions here which will stop the spread of fire here. So these are some of the applications which you can see, photographs of various type. These are the acoustics treatment done with the help of vinyl barrier and the RB slab. Between the two floors, there was a banquet and the residence. A residence was below, and the above this site was where it's shown here. It's a banquet hall. So there are various kind of applications where we use insulations. We have briefly gone through small areas where we should do acoustic type to avoid echo and so on. So what we understood till now, whatever applications, these are the application photograph I'm taking through certain two for your understanding. So what we have come to the end, insulation is a very, very vast subject, but what can 3 hours, I have tried my level best to actually compress it in 1.5 hours discussion. There is so much of research happening all over world on the insulation, different generic type and the chemical combination material and so on. That more you know, better it is in terms of today's HVAC knowledge. And India is evolving as a innovation centers now on a global index. So there is a small effort from our side also, that we encourage all the innovative mind to invite all the innovative students and youngsters to come on to our technical experience center, where students are given a chance. If you have something where you want to do some research work, you can display it here. In terms of, there were college students who had come, and this planes, you see, they have demonstrated, this is with the help of extruded polystyrene material they have made, and they have displayed it. So we keep inviting all the young minds who wants to do some part of, contribute to Indian research industry here. So I invite everybody to our Inner Engineering Experience Center. Thank you so much. And I think so now floor is open for all kind of doubts. I tried my level best to bring to the to do justice to the topic of thermal and acoustic insulations.
Thank you, Amisha. That was really a very big eye-opener, and you gave a lot of details as to all insulations as together. And it was really, I'm sure the participants who are here would have a lot of knowledge enhancements as far as insulation is concerned, with both thermal and acoustic. We got some questions on the chat box. So can I ask you those?
Yeah.
Okay. The first question is, excuse me, what would be the minimum difference between the outer surface and dew points?
Outer surface and the dew points, when you talk of the when you talk about the condensation point of view,
Yeah.
The difference minimum when you talk of when you talk of the circumferences, that is ambient temperature here, at least 0.5 degree. I think Sunil has mentioned that from my technical team. That is at least 0.5 degrees Celsius more than the dew point temperature to avoid the condensation part.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. So I believe your presentation was so easily understood. There aren't any questions.
It can be both the ways.
Yeah, I understand. But insulation definitely is something which is a very important topic that we all are aware, and unfortunately less thought about. Yeah.
And it is not given that much importance, though we pay so much for our insulation material, but we don't know much about the insulation material.
Correct. So I think with that, we have got Manoj there with us. So Manoj Chakravarti, President Emeritus of Asia Kolkata Chapter. Manoj, if you can unmute yourself and. Okay, it's blocked. Okay, no issues. So I think there's no other questions. So thank you, Amisha, for your time and presentation. And if you
Thank you so
could,
much.
if you could just share your contact details in the chat box, so that for the benefit of the participants.
Sure.
Yeah. And we have recorded the presentation. So if anybody requires, we can have that.
Thank you so much, Somyajit and Nilanjana.
Thank you, Amisha. Thanks a lot. So with this, I